To Mark Trewin, mark.trewin@bradford.gov.uk. Sanjeev Singh. sanjeev.singh@bdct.nhs.uk, nadia.khan1@bdct.nhs.uk. nadia.khan1@bdct.nhs.uk, richard.exel@bdct.nhs.uk. richard.exel@bdct.nhs.uk, Richard Winter. richard.winter@bradford.gov.uk, martin.fleming@bradford.gov.uk. Less than Martin, Fleming. Date the 23rd of June 2015. Dear CBMDC, Mr. Mark Trewin. I appreciate your official stance that you have no involvement in the council's legal or any police matters, and that you are limited in your remit as a mental health service manager. However, I find myself always having to deal with both your official policies and your unofficial powers. It is your malfeasance in office and the tremendous amount of unofficial powers you wield that are the central cause of the current state of affairs. I assure you, you will be City of Bradford Metropolitan District Council's very own Nick Leeson, as the actions you have orchestrated against me and my vulnerable family members will eventually be the undoing of your very organisation. You yourself admit you have been with the council since 1992. As a result of this, you are well acquainted with all the relevant offices in prominent positions of authority. As a fund manager of the mental health budget, you yourself hold a very senior and prominent position within your organisation. But like all men in positions of power, you long for and desire more power so you can control, manipulate and dominate. When you make mistakes, like many people do, rather than humbly admit them and attempt to learn lessons, you would rather cover them up by abusing your position in power, authority and trust, or bury them 6 feet under, quite literally in the case of my brother Nazem, and then deflect blame onto others less powerful and more vulnerable than you. In our particular case, that scapegoat target seems to have been me. Officially, I am an informal carer, weak and vulnerable, needing of your help and assistance, but unofficially, as you have painstakingly now learnt, I am far more powerful and resourceful in my God-given natural capacities than you or others could have ever anticipated or reckoned on. It is this aspect of official and unofficial powers which is the root cause of all our grievances. As the 4th largest local authority in the UK, you are all powerful and I as an individual informal carer am truly powerless. But even with all your powers, either official or unofficial, you lack the capacity to achieve your objectives. I, on the other hand, as a single determined individual, am very capable and competent in bringing about my goals to fruition. On the 2 of July 2012, you instructed your subordinates, Jane Foster and Andy Parsons, to come to my house with the police, under the pretext that you were concerned about Talib's health and safety. However, the real reason was your supposed client had fallen off the official radar for several years, as you failed to monitor him in the community. Though you failed to monitor TH in the community, like countless others which conveniently then fall outside your remit, this case was different given you were making direct payment to TH which you had no records of, as you had failed to audit the accounts for several years. Your official inquiries on the matter, instigated in 2011, were being ignored, and as a consequence of this, you decided to utilize unofficial channels by leveraging your relationship with Bradford District Care Trust. From that day onwards, both you, the legal fiction persons known as CBMDC and BDCT, through the joint enterprise of City Mental Health Team, aided and assisted with West Yorkshire Police, are guilty of committing fraud under the Fraud Act 2006. You had no legal jurisdiction to enter my house, but did so under false pretenses by bullying, threatening and intimidation me in order to achieve your objectives. Once your subordinates came into our home, under threats of police action and false pretenses, the true intentions became clear. It was nothing to do with TH's safety, this being just a pretext, but to make inquiries regarding auditing TH's direct payments. At the time I refused to provide any information to your colleagues, as I was not under any legal obligation to do so. A few days later I refused to cooperate in disclosing TH's direct payment details to Jane Foster when she made inquiries regarding the employment of TH's personal assistants. As a consequence of this single telephone call and my refusal to cooperate with you, you unilaterally terminated his contract, without notice, in direct violation of the terms of contract. Your investigation into TH's direct payments and the auditing of accounts would become the catalyst that would start a whole host of violations and abuses of powers, which would eventually lead to you and your senior managers, with the aid of several partner organizations, colluding and conspiring to formulate a joint enterprise to murder my brother Nazem Hussain and attempt to frame me for it, in order to cover up your systemic failures. As a direct consequence of these actions, I have lost everything from my privacy and basic human rights to the loss of my beloved brother's life. You will be brought to account one day for such gross violations. When it served your agenda, you executed limitless, unofficial powers, and now when things have not gone all your own way, you revert back to taking up your official role as a simple manager, limited in your capacity, just innocently doing your job, fully compartmentalized. It doesn't work that way. I have had my human rights violated and lost my right to privacy and anonymity in addition to other losses. These losses are costed out to you in the hundreds of millions of pounds. If you want to learn lessons from your mistakes, then you should have to pay the price yourself and not look to externalize them onto me. The truth is, I have been your unofficial personal pet project to use, abuse and exploit, to humiliate, victimize and persecute me, given I am disempowered and disenfranchised being an informal Asian carer with little official rights. And you are a senior manager with limitless unofficial power to abuse and exploit. But as the saying goes, the best laid plans by mice and men never go as planned. I assure you, sir, you are very much involved in all which has transpired. Unofficially, you know everything about me, from my personal finances, my family relationships, from the content of the safe in my bedroom to my medical records and therapy sessions. Let's not dwell on these matters for the moment. I urge you once again to fill in the engagement questionnaire, so you can look to mitigate the effects of some of your actions, as we look to find resolution to some of the minor points that still require attention in your official capacity as the mental health manager. I would like to meet you, Sanjeev Singh and Nathia Khan, at your earliest convenience to discuss some of these outstanding issues. Regards, Mr. S. Hussain.